Today, we are talking about club quality. Club quality is so important because we all want to be in a high quality Toastmasters club, right? I've never heard anyone tell me, you know, I wish my club had less quality. This is why club quality is so important. But what is club quality? What is quality itself? The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines quality as simply the degree of excellence. Therefore, a high-quality Toastmasters club has a high degree of excellence, whereas a low-quality club has, well, they have problems. Steve Jobs said, "Be a yardstick of quality." He went on to say, some people, though, are not used to being in an environment where excellence is expected. I believe we need to make each of our clubs an environment where excellence is expected and delivered. The session today is designed to help you identify where, as a club officer, you can directly influence club quality. Club quality then influences our members' experience in the club. And that experience is where the members find value. The session today is a little bit different. In the past, we've had an individual section on club quality in each of the individual officer training sessions. But today we're doing this one overall session on club quality. We hope all officers will attend before attending their individual officer training sessions. We do have a full agenda today, so I would ask you, please hold your questions until the end. We will have time at the end for questions and answers. Here is our agenda for today. We will talk about the executive committee, member value, moments of truth, distinguished club program, and club management, where I will give you some tools and resources that you can use to monitor and improve your club quality. There's going to be a number of different links here that I'm going to go through and show you. Don't worry about trying to copy them all down. They are in the presentation, which Steve, if you could go ahead and put the presentation into the chat area now. You can download this. It is a PDF file, so it downloads fairly quickly. One thing I would warn you about, I discovered last night, is the links are active, but after opening up the file, wait about a minute or so before you try to access any of the links. For some reason, I think it takes time for them to get loaded, but they are all active and they work. I checked them out. We'll talk just briefly about pathways, and we will talk about important upcoming district dates. First, the executive committee. There are 8 members on the executive committee, and as a club officer, you are one of those 8 members. Now, some of you maybe just went, what? How can there be 8 members when there's only 7 officer roles? Stick with me, I'll show you. First, we have the club president, who is like the CEO of the club. They are responsible overall for running the club. Then we have VP Education, responsible for education and training. VP Membership, responsible for membership growth and the members' experience. VP Public Relations, responsible for marketing and promotion. The VP Public Relations works closely with the VP Membership. Hopefully the VP Public Relations is promoting the club, bringing in guests, and then the VP Membership works to convert those guests into members. And after that, then the VP Education takes over and gives the member an orientation, gets them started in the Pathways program. We have the secretary responsible for administrative records and responsibilities. the treasurer, who is the club financial manager, and the sergeant at arms, who is the facilities manager, whether that's the physical facility, if you're meeting in person or hybrid, or it may just be virtual online. Then we have that eighth member that I talked about. This is the immediate past president who serves as the advisor to the club and is an important member of the executive committee. It's important that you know your role as a club officer, but you also need to be familiar with the other officer roles as well, because you may be asked to fill in for one of the other officers at one time or another. And all the officer roles work together. Toastmasters put together 7 articles in the TI magazines from 2021 to 2022. This link does take a little while to load, I would warn you, but I recommend you spend a little time going through these articles. There's good information on each of the officer roles. I was looking at one of the articles just recently on club secretary, because that's my role in one of my clubs. And this is what the articles look like. There's one on club secretary, one for the treasurer, meet the vice president education, master of promotion, that is the VP public relations, vice president membership, sergeant at arms, and then of course the club president. The other place that you can find information about the officer roles is on the Toastmasters website. There is a page that shows each of the officer roles, and there is a brief summary of the roles, and then there is a video for each of the roles. It's about a 5-minute video, and there is a self-evaluation. I recommend, since we're over halfway through the year now, take that self-evaluation now. See how you've done for the first half of the Toastmasters year and what you can work on for the second half of the year. It's important to know where our members find the value, and they find value in the club experience. And as I said, club quality influences that club experience. When members see the value in their club experience, they will stay in the club. We're always looking for value. If we find value in a Toastmasters club, we're going to stay with that club and in turn add value to the club. If a member is not finding value, that's when they are going to leave the club and ultimately probably leave Toastmasters. Club officers are a key part of this club quality because they are responsible for leadership in the club, the planning and organization in the club, and club recognition. This is where we find club quality. The members then feel that they are being supported and recognized. We need to always have A+ meetings. Sometimes we get a little lazy and we say, well, okay, that's good enough. That was a C+ meeting. We got through it. No, every meeting needs to be an A+ meeting. This way our members will be motivated to continue in our clubs. And this is where then the members find value. They realize that this is a learning lab. Every meeting is an opportunity to learn, practice, and develop their leadership skills and communication skills. They will see that the club and program is self-paced. They can go as fast or as slow as they want. For some members, they may be going a little bit slow, and I would suggest nudging them along a little bit. Because the faster the members move through the program, the sooner they will see the value in it. And this is what happened to me. So when I started in Toastmasters, I admit I was tentative. I didn't want to give speeches. But as I started seeing the value that I was getting out of Toastmasters and applying at work, I wanted more. And so I started picking up the pace and speaking more often, doing more things. And I saw more and more value when I did that. Another important area where members find value is in feedback. And this is especially important in speech feedback. When we give evaluations after a speech, we need to make sure we are giving the member value. The word value is right there in evaluation. Yes, we need to be positive and supportive and tell them the things they did well. That's important. But we also need to be honest and give them good recommendations on things to work on and improve for their next speech and the speech after that and after that. And then finally, we need mentors because we all want to feel that we're supported. We need people that we can turn to when we have questions or problems. Moments of truth. This is a gauge of club quality. Anytime a person interacts with Toastmasters, this might be a guest attending a meeting for the first time, or it could be just a regular member attending a meeting. But anytime there is that interaction with Toastmasters, the person forms opinions, good or bad. And based on those opinions, they make decisions. Toastmasters calls these moments of truth. We want to make sure that during these interactions, these people are forming positive opinions and making the right decision. Toastmasters has identified 6 areas that they call criteria that are part of moments of truth. The first is first impressions. This is when a guest attends a meeting for the first time. We need to make sure that they are welcomed. And this is really the role of the Sergeant at Arms. They should identify there's a guest at the meeting, introduce themselves, introduce them around, introduce them to the VP membership, who will explain about the meeting, explain about Toastmasters, introduce them to the president, who can introduce them during the meeting. And then after the meeting, the VP of membership wants to invite that person to join the club, give them an application form. So as I go through these, you will see how officers have a role here where they can influence each of these moments. Next is membership orientation. Once we have a new member, we need to orient them to the club. This is the role of the VP of Education. They will give them an orientation session, explain about Toastmasters, and explain about pathways. Get them started in pathways. Every meeting needs to be fun, supportive, and productive. This is where we have fellowship, variety, and communication. And this is really the role of all officers. Meetings need to be well planned and organized. This starts with the VP Education, who plans and schedules the meeting and assigns the roles. Roles need to be assigned well in advance so the member shows up at the meeting knowing what their role is, ready to fulfill it. The president needs to start every meeting with excitement and enthusiasm. And then, as Lance Miller, 2005 world champion of public speaking, often says, every meeting needs to start on time, end on time, and make sure that everything in between is not a waste of time. Membership strength is important to keep that club strong. Toastmasters tells us we need at least 20 members in a club. This is because not every member is going to attend every single meeting. If you have a club strength of 20 members, you might get around 15 members at each meeting. And that's a good number because then all the roles are filled. There are some members at each meeting who don't have any role. When your membership drops down to maybe 15 members, now you're going to get around 9 or 10 members attending a meeting. This means every single member at that meeting is going to have a role, and in some cases, depending on the number of roles, you're going to have to double up on those roles. It just puts more pressure on everyone. This is why it's important to keep that membership strength up over 20 members. And then finally, we all like to be recognized for our achievements. This can be simply the club president or the VP Education recognizing someone during the meeting who has achieved an education award, a level completion, a project completion, or even a Distinguished Toastmasters Award. So these are the moments of truth. And Toastmasters has put together a module that they call Moments of Truth. I'll show you where you can download this a little later. But for this Moments of Truth, it can be presented by a club officer or anyone in your club. It could even be done by a district officer. It starts with a presentation which discusses and explains these 6 criteria that I just went over. Then at the end of that presentation, the group is split out into 6 smaller groups. Ideally, each group should have about 2 or 3 members in the group. So it depends on how many members you have at the meeting. If you don't have enough to do 6 groups, you may have to break it down and only have about 3 groups. In either case, though, each group discusses 1 or 2 of these 6 criteria. And there are certain standards on a worksheet that they go over, and they assess how they are doing on each of those standards. They rate it on a scale 1 to 5. Any standard where you assess that you're doing a 3 or lower, then that group will discuss, why is the club not meeting that standard? And importantly, how can you change to meet that standard? After a given period of time, about maybe 10, 15 minutes, then these smaller groups get back together in the big group, and each group presents their findings. You do need to expect this entire process for Moments of Truth is going to take an entire meeting if you have a 1-hour meeting. After the meeting is over, you're not done. The executive committee then needs to meet to go over the results. And anywhere there were some standards that were identified as not being met, look through those, and the executive committee decides on the most important ones and work on those first. There is a Moments of Truth checklist. It's a club quality checklist. And Steve, Itzkowitz, if you could please put that into the chat area now. You can download this. There's about 40 questions. They're yes or no. You can pass this out to your members, ask them to fill it out, send it back to you, or send it out in an email, ask them to send it back. And then again, the executive committee needs to go over this checklist, see where multiple people have identified areas that the club needs to work on. The Distinguished Club Program is a way to measure your club quality throughout the Toastmasters year. If you're not familiar with the Distinguished Club Program, there are 10 goals that each club is expected to complete in the Toastmasters year, which starts in July of one year and runs through June of the following year. This means we are now over halfway through the current Toastmasters year. I'll go over these 10 goals on the next slide, but here I just want to explain that there are, of these 10 goals, they're broken up into 3 different categories. The first category is educational achievements, and there are 6 goals here. These are the pathways goals, completing levels in pathways. Again, you want to recognize your members when they complete a level or a path, or a Distinguished Toastmaster Award is best of all. The second category is member dues renewal and membership growth. We pointed out already in Moments of Truth that membership growth and strength is important. We're required to have 8 members for a club to be a club in good standing. We need to focus more on getting our dues renewals in earlier. And I challenge you for this upcoming dues renewal period in March, shoot for 90% of your dues renewals completed by March 31st. And then your long-term goal is to have 20 members by June 30th, which is the end of the Toastmasters year. The final category is training and administrative achievements. And the first part is the officers training, which the goal is to have 4 officers trained out of the 7 officers. But make it a stretch goal. Go for all 100% of the officers trained. As Bob Hudak, who is here today. He's a past district governor. I always remember him telling me this one time. Why would you ever want to be in a club where not all of the officers have been trained? These days with training online, it's much easier. You don't even have to get in the car and drive someplace. For all we know, you can be sitting here in your pajamas today taking this training. And the other part of the administrative goals is just getting your officer list in on time and your club dues renewal in on time. This is a worksheet that Founders District put together, and it's on the foundersdistrict.org website, so you can download it from there. But Steve, can you also put a copy of this into the chat so people can download this? Hopefully you've already filled this out, because this should be filled out in the July through August timeframe. And the way it works is you want to identify members in your club. Usually this is the VP Education who works with the other officers to do this. Identifying the members you think will complete these certain education levels. Who are the members that will complete a level 1 award? And for goal number 1, you need 4 level 1 completions. If you haven't already filled this out in your club, I recommend now is a good time to fill it out. And if you already filled it out, now is the time to go back and review this, because some things may change. You may put in names here who they may not even be in the club any longer. So you have to go back and adjust this. And it's important that you monitor this over these next 5 months. Goal number 2 then is 2 level 2 awards. Goal number 3 is 2 more level 2 awards. So that's 4 level 2 awards in the Toastmasters year. Goal number 4 is 2 level 3 awards. Goal number 5 is 1 level 4, a level 5, or a DTM award. And goal number 6 is 1 more level 4, a level 5, or a DTM award. For the membership goals, goal number 7 is 4 new members. Goal number 8 is 4 more new members. That's a total of 8 members in a Toastmasters year. And I know that seems like a lot, but the reason for that is Toastmasters has shown that in any given year, the average Toastmasters club will lose approximately 30% of the members. When I first joined Toastmasters, I didn't think that was possible, but I've seen that is true. Each year, my clubs lose about 30% of the members. That means if you're at full club strength of 20 members or more, you're going to lose about 8 members throughout the year. The training goals, this is the club officer training. As I've already mentioned, the goal is 4, but just get all 7 trained. And you need 7 trained in each of the 2 training periods. We already had 1 training period from June through August. We're now in the 2nd officers training period, which started in November, and now it's going to complete here at the end of February. So we're kind of running out of time. We need to get our officers trained. And then the administrative goals. No club should miss these goals. The first part of this is a minimum of 1 on-time payment in either September or March. And you need at least 8 members to be a club in good standing. And the other part of this goal is to put in your officers list. If you elect club officers for the whole year, you need to get that officers list in June. And that's why some clubs miss this goal. That officers list needs to be put in Club Central in June, even though the officers don't start until July. If your club meets weekly, you can elect officers for 6-month terms. And in that case, you have 2 chances. If you miss the officers list in June, you can put the officers list in December, but it has to be before the end of December. And that's when you need to elect those new officers for that next period, which is January through June. Regardless, please go out and check your club officer list on Club Central. It's important that it be up to date today, because in order for you as an officer to get credit, you need to be listed in Club Central as the current club officer. So it needs to be up to date. You need to monitor your distinguished club program throughout the year. And especially now, we're over halfway through the year, so monitor it more closely through the second half of the year. We're only got 5 months left. We do this on the Toastmasters website at, there is an area there that you can go and check. I'll show you where that is. There is a link in the presentation, and this is what the dashboard looks like. Let me show you how to get there because it's a little bit tricky. When you first come onto the Toastmasters website, you will click on Membership, and then under Membership, click on Leadership Central. And under Leadership Central, when you scroll down, you see Distinguished Performance Reports. You don't have to be logged in for this. When you click on here, it takes you to the dashboard. Enter in your club number, or if you don't know the club number, club name. Click on Search, and now it shows you your club status. It's easy to read, but just to go over it quickly, the first thing to look at is membership. You see the base. This is the number of members you had at the start of the Toastmasters year. And this is the number of members you have to date. This is the number you are required to have at the end of the Toastmasters year. On June 30th, you need to be either up to this base if it was 20 members, or if you didn't have 20 members, you need a net growth of 3 new members. Keep that in mind, it's 3 new members. Up until 2 years ago, it was 5 new members, but currently it is 3 new members. I just learned recently that Toastmasters International has to vote on that this August to decide whether we will continue this as 3 new members or if it'll go back to 5 new members. But for now, just remember you need a net growth of 3 new members. On the right, it shows you the goals that you've met and what you need to do to be distinguished, select distinguished, or president's distinguished. Down below, you see how you are doing in each of the goals. And it's easy to see. The goals with a check mark means you've already completed those. The ones that don't have a check mark are the ones to focus on. In our case, we need to focus on goal number 1 because we only have 1 level 1 award and we need 3 more. We also need 2 level 2 awards. We're doing pretty good in membership. We did get 4 in the first half of the year. We're going to get another 4, we hope, in the second half. And then you can see we're doing well in officers training and the administrative goals. The Club Leadership Handbook is your go-to guide. This is the first place to learn about your role as a club officer. When I attended officer training many years ago, the instructor told us, I can tell you everything you need to know to be a successful club officer in just 3 words. And boy, I thought, wow, this is going to be a whole lot easier than I thought. If all I have to remember is 3 words, well, what are the 3 words? Abracadabra? No, those weren't the magic words. The instructor said, the 3 words you need to know are read the manual. That's it, read the manual. And he was referring to the leadership handbook. Now, during my first term as an officer, I realized, though, he was only half right. It takes 6 words to be successful. Read the manual and follow it. I did the first part of that as an officer. I read through the manual and I just put it aside and I never looked at it again. It's important that you read and follow it. The handbook gives you information about club governance, the district structure, tasks, and deadlines. This is why you need to periodically go back and look at the handbook, because there is a timeline that tells you certain tasks and deadlines that certain officers need to do throughout the year. And Steve, if you haven't already, could you go ahead and put the handbook PDF into the chat area so people can download it if they want? The handbook also covers the leadership roles. As I mentioned before, it's important you're at least familiar with all of the roles. It covers the Distinguished Club Program, pathways, club finance, club events such as officer elections, officer installation, and speech contests. If you do download the PDF, and I recommend if you're attending other officer training today, read through it so you'll be familiar with it. But I really recommend going forward, refer to the handbook online. Look at it online so you make sure you always have the current version. The version that we're downloading right now is May of last year, 2023. It's going to change this year when Toastmasters changes the learning management system. There's going to have to be some changes in the leadership handbook. And this is why I recommend reading it online, and I'll show you where you can view it online. But this really is your go-to guide, the first place to start. To manage your club, we do this through Club Central. And if you're not familiar with Club Central, there is on that webpage a link to the tutorials. And let me show you how you get to Club Central. This is a little bit tricky. When you first come in, you do need to be logged in and you need to be an officer. Once you log in, then up here it will list your name. Anytime you want to get back to your home page, hover over your name and go to My Home. The homepage is something new that Toastmasters set up a year ago or a little more. I like it. It's a good centralized place to get started. And as a club officer, when you scroll down, you will see a tile that says Club Central. Click on this, it takes you to a page where if you are an officer in more than one club, you will get this page. I'm an officer in 2 clubs, so I see multiple clubs. Mary probably has about 8 or 9 of these listed on her page. But when you click on that, it then takes you to Club Central. And there's a number of different areas here of importance. I'm not going to go through all of these, but the key ones are first, submit education awards. This is where the VP Education will go in and submit the education awards. Any officer, though, can submit an education award, and you need to be familiar with how to do this in case the VPE is not available for some reason. Or in the case where the VPE has completed an education award, they can't put in their own award, so someone else will need to put it in for them. Next is the membership management. This is where the VP membership enters in the application for a new member. It's also then where the club treasurer will pay the dues for that new member, or for the current members if you're not using self-pay. The treasurer will need to go in and pay the dues through the membership management. If you're set up on self-pay, then your members can pay their own dues. And we're doing that in my clubs. It's working out well. This is also where any officer can go in and print out a roster of the club, which will include information about email and phone numbers. A key area to look at is this club contact and meeting information. Make sure your contact and meeting information is up to date. In the January leader letter, I just read that Toastmasters did a little survey of people who didn't end up joining a club, and they surveyed the people to find out why they didn't join a Toastmasters club. 50% of the people said the reason they didn't join the club was they tried to contact the club and they never heard back from anyone. When we are struggling to bring in new members into Toastmasters, we can't let that happen. Make sure this contact information is up to date, and make sure whoever the contact is, that they are getting back to guests when they contact them and ask for information. The club officer assignment, this is where the secretary is responsible for going in and putting in the officer list, but any officer can put in the officer list. And as I said, go out there, make sure that it's up to date today, so your officers are going to get credit for this training. And then there is a club success plan. We used to do this all on a form or forms that we would fill out. Now it can be done online, and this is where that is done. The Club Officer Tools is the second place to go to for help and information and resources as a club officer and for club quality. It's a little tricky to find. Again, this is under Membership, Leadership Central, and then under Leadership Central, there will be a tile for Club Officer Tools, and I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. So again, from your home page, click on Membership, Leadership Central, Club Officer Tools. As a club officer, spend some time going through this area. Become familiar with what is here. There is good tools and resources here that I think most of our officers are not aware of. It starts here with the leader letter. This is sent out monthly from Toastmasters International. You should be getting an email with a link that will take you right to the letter. But if not, that's where you can go to the leader letter, and that's also where you can find past issues. Club officer roles. This is what I showed you previously. Oops. I'm on the wrong one. Club officer roles. This is what I showed you before, where you can find a summary of each of the officer roles in the tutorials, etc. And then club officer kit. The first thing here is the club leadership handbook. And this is where I recommend that you view it online. When you go here, then it will take you to a page where you can just view the handbook. Other things under the club officer kit are the Distinguished Club Program. There's an explanation on that and the club success plan. And then here is the speech contest rulebook. If you are a VP education, it's important that you go and read the rule book so you know how to put on your club contest. Under club management, the first thing we see is the new member orientation. This is a PowerPoint presentation that you can download and use for orienting new members. And I just started using this about a year ago, and I like it. It's modifiable, so you can change it to fit your own club. It's really helping me because it helps me when I'm talking to a new member to keep me focused and on track instead of going off in all different directions, as I sometimes do. The other thing here under club management is club quality. This is an area that gives you resources for club quality. The first thing is the Successful Club series. This we used to have to pay for because it was hard copies, and now you can download this for free. It comes in a zip file, and there's, I think, 10 different presentations on different aspects of club quality and a successful club. These are about 10 to 15-minute educational briefs that you or a member can give in your club. The other thing that's important here is moments of truth. This is what I was talking about. There is this module that is listed here, moments of truth, and you download the handouts. This is what you hand out to the individual groups to rate how you are doing on the different standards. There's a PowerPoint presentation, and there is a manual that explains the whole process and procedure. And the last thing then on this Club Officer Tools page is when you scroll down, there are some other officer resources here. There's another quick, easy way to get to the leadership handbook. There's information about the Distinguished Club program, a PDF for that. Spend some time looking through these. I'm not going to talk much about pathways, but all officers need to be familiar with pathways because this is the educational value in Toastmasters. I know some people are not happy with pathways, but what I have discovered is you will get out of pathways what you put into pathways. If you spend the time and the energy to go in and really understand it and work through the projects, you will see the value that is there. And we need to encourage all of our members to spend that time and energy going through the projects, understand what that project is telling you before just getting up and giving a speech about the project. There is value there, but the members need to be enrolled and working through pathways to see that value. And we need to get new members on board within the first 2 weeks or so. One of the best things that I can give you to help you if you're still having some questions about pathways is this link at the bottom of the page. And this takes you to Basecamp videos. And I'll show you how you get there because that is also a little bit hidden. To get to here, you want to click on Education Programs and then scroll all the way down to the bottom where it says Basecamp Videos. When you click on that, it takes you to this page where there are 3 very basic videos about Basecamp, showing you how to get to Basecamp, how to access your path, and how to launch a project. This is good for new members to get them started. But what's hidden here for all members is this link right here. It says, visit this playlist. I wish Toastmasters would blow this up and make it more obvious. But when you click on this link, it takes you to YouTube, where you will then see 23 videos about Basecamp and pathways. Spend some time looking at these videos. They're very short. They're anywhere from 3 minutes up to the longest one is maybe 6 or 7 minutes. But there's good information in these videos. The 2 that I think are most important are this one here on completing a project, because even experienced members, for some reason, forget or don't remember how to complete a project. Once they've completed all the projects in a level, the other thing everyone needs to know is how to complete a level. And I've seen situations in my club where they knew that the person had completed all the projects, but they were still showing as not having completed that level. And when I went in and I looked, their projects were completed, but they hadn't completed the level. And so I referred them to this video to explain how to complete the level. And then they went in and did that and got credit for it. Spend time looking through these and find the ones that are useful to you and your club members. The Navigator is an important tool for new members especially, but it's good for any member. Steve, could you go ahead and put that PDF into the chat area if you haven't already? This is another one of those documents, though. It's okay to download it because sometimes it's easier to read through it that way, maybe. But also periodically look at it online. Make sure you have the latest version, because this one also is going to change this year when we go to the new learning management system. But for the new members, it's going to get them started in Toastmasters. It will explain about the meeting and the officer roles, meeting basics. It goes over pathways, talks about the icebreaker. And there's also links in that navigator that will take them to that icebreaker so they can start seeing how to go through a project. There's information for all members, though, on evaluation, contests, being a mentor, in serving your club or district. This is another one that is a little bit hidden, unfortunately. So this one, you do need to be logged in and then go to your home page. And there's this tile called Learning Hub. This is actually important. There's a number of key areas here. But then when you go to the Learning Hub, then there's this big tile that says View the Navigator. When you click on that, it takes you to a page where there is some other information here, but this is where you get to the Navigator PDF. And from there, you can go and then view it online.